Hi everyone, welcome back to the VBCS online course. So this video is part of module 6 and here we are going to look at how to enable client-side validation for a form. If you have created a form on a VBCS application and you wanted to validate fields like the field has a value or not, like the mandatory or something like this, then you can do this in the VBCS via JavaScript. So let's go ahead and try to make this happen via VBCS. For this, I'll just log in into the VBCS application here and will create a new application. Click on a new and here validation form app and then finish. First, I will create a business object to hold certain data so that I can create a form and push the data into the business object. And before pushing the data into the business object, I will check the data is entered or not on the form. So here I'll simply put create a new business object with label employee, where I'll create a few fields and I will create a fields here. First name, create field, let be initialized. Let me just refresh this page. Okay, and then create a last name. You can create a age field here. You can take this as a number. You can take this as an email address. First name, last name, age, and then email address, and then you can take date of birth. You can select this as a date. Okay, now go to the web application and create a new web application, validation web app, and then create. First, I will create a variable from the endpoint. I will create a type from the endpoint. I will select the business object to create the type, and then next, and here the type name will be create employee and it should be of request type, where I will choose first name, last name, email address, date of birth, and then age, and then finish. I will create a variable based on the type. Click plus variable and then create employee var, and the type should be create employee and then create. Go to designer and here I'll drop a form layout here and select this form layout and will select the maximum column as a 2. Okay, here I'll put certain input text in the form layout, choose another. Okay, and then I will put the email and then number field, and then next as a one more text field. It is to hold first name, last name, date of birth. So here I will choose the date picker, input date. You can just shift it a little bit. Let me just put it here. Okay. Hold on, let me just delete this. Maybe it is not under the form layout, hence it is okay here. Okay, now one button. You can just put it here. Okay, now just try to change the caption, first name, and make them required so that it should have a value. And here last name. Also select this and make them required. Show required. Okay, choose the number field, also age, and then required, and it should be email. Maybe it is not email field. Email. Okay, email address and make it required. Okay, so it should be date of birth and make it required as well. Okay, so I have a form where I will allow user to enter first name, date of birth, age, last name, and then email address, and the button caption will be the same. Just click on this and make it call to action. You can change other chroming as well, like borderless, then chrome to action, outline, solid, something like this. So make this call to action. Click on this and then generate one event here. Click on this new event and then OJ action. Here, what I wanted to call the REST endpoint and wanted to select the business object endpoint to create the record. So I will use this post one. Select. Under the body, I'll map this create employee variable. It is because it is same as it has the same field as I wanted to and use to create the employee, and then save. Here I will put a fire action here, and here say use employee created. Display mode transient, and then notification type will be info. Go to the designer and try to run your page and see what happens. Here you see the asterisk mark. It is because you have made this required, right? Let's just try to put a name, Ankur, and then age 133, and then try to save it. Here you see employee created. We have not entered the date of birth, last name, email address, even they are mandatory, and it is allowing me to save the form. If you go to the employee business object, and here you see the data should be saved here. Okay, it is because there's a little mistake which I have done. I have not done a binding with the data. So just click on this and then do the binding here. First name, okay, and then date of birth, last name, age, and then email address. Okay. Okay. Now just save. Now just run it again. Just try to enter again Anchor 1 2 and then save. Again the employee has been created. Go back employee, and then here you can see first name and then age has been entered, and then last name, date of birth, email address is blank, right? I have just marked them as a required, but VBCS is not making them the required field. So for this, you have to make some validation here. For this, go to the main start page and go to the coding section. Here, what you need to do, you need to surround your form with the component which is called OJ validation group, right? And make a ID here, like user form, and then close this tag as well. So what I need to do to make the validation, client side validation, you have to surround your form with the validation group component and make sure you will have the ID of this component as well. Go to the designer back and make sure your form looks like as you want. Now I need to create a JavaScript at the application level. Click this application and go to the JavaScript. Here I will create a JavaScript function to make sure the form which I will submit will have the proper data. Means the data should have all the elements should have the data which are marked as a asterisk. So for this I will create a JavaScript function here. So here this is my JavaScript function app module.prototype.is form valid. The function name is form valid and it will take the form ID. And it will check that the form, the tracker.valid. If it is the form is valid, then it will return true. Else it will focus on all the fields where the error is and it will return the false. So this function will return the boolean value, and basis on that I will check the form is valid or not. Okay, go to the main start page again and click on this save button, and here go to this event. From here I will use the if condition and will call this JavaScript function. Click this if condition, and here you just need to put two curly braces, and this JavaScript function is under the application. So I will use the application object application dot functions because I wanted to call the function. So you have to use the functions dot the function name. The function name will be is form valid. And here you need to pass the form ID, and the form ID is this one. Go to the code section, this one. Go here, design, click if, and then so what I'm doing is I am calling this function which I have created here on this if condition. If this function will return true, this path will be followed, otherwise this path will be followed. Okay, and then move this call rest endpoint on the true path. Okay, and just try to run your application now. Okay, just try to preview the application and see what happens. Here just try to enter date of birth and then just try to submit it. Here you can see the field which are marked as a required field, and if you don't put the value, the error will come. So this is the client side validation. On the save button, it will call the JavaScript function and will pass the form ID, and based on that it will check the value the value is there in the fields or not which are marked as a required field. So this is how you can make client-side validation before you actually submit the form and you save the data. Just try to submit the data here and see it is working or not. Here you can see the email address field has the inbuilt validation. So it is because I have created this field using the email component, and this email component has a inbuilt validation. If you go back and you see here the email address, if you go to the code section, you can see the validator is already there, and you see the pattern field. So there are few components, the OJT components, Oracle jet components are there, which has the inbuilt validator like email field, the phone field, and the number field. But few fields are not, does not have the inbuilt validator, hence you have to make the JavaScript to make them validated. Okay, just put and then last name, and then okay, it is because this last name is also the email field. The last name, yeah, here you see the last name field is also we have the validator here. If you remove this validator, right, and then you can remove each and everything from here, it is not required. You just remove it. Okay, label hint also. Okay, and now try to run it again. It is because by mistake the last name also has been as an email address component. Uncle, date of birth, 34, and then gmail.com. Say, here you see employee created. Go back here and you can see the data has been created in the business object. So this is how you can make client-side validation with the VBCS form. So that's all for this video. If you have any question, let me know. Thanks. Bye-bye.